Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here we have seen that we can call the member functions using objects and dot operators, and then we have seen that how to nest nesting of a member function and the private member functions. So today we'll see that whether, like the normal built-in data types, whether can we pass the objects as the arguments. That means normal built-in data types, that is ints, float, double, character, etc. We normally send them as in some function as argument. Just a second. Yeah. Normally in some functions we send some int, float, etc. as arguments. But now the question is, can we send objects as arguments? Because we always try to replicate the whatever we are doing with the built-in data types, that will try to replicate the same behavior for the user-defined data types, that is for the objects. So we can also send objects, and I have included here one example for for the same. So you check this example. What I have done here, I have sent. Let me show you the other screen, that is the execution. So here I have just copied the same program. So here what I have done, I have created one class called height and taken two data members, that is feet and inches. And this member function, this get ht, this is a initializer member function which takes some parameters called f and I, and we are just assigning the value of f to feet and I to inches. Okay, so this is whenever this is called, the object gets initialized with these values, whatever value we are passing. Okay, so this is the use of this get ht, and the put ht is just to display the height and feet in means height in feet and inches. Okay, so what we will do, we will actually take from this, by this get height, we will try to take some values in feet and inches, and then we will display that. Okay, so and there is one more function, that is this function sum. Okay, so here this sum function, this is actually, so one more member function, that is sum. So what sum is doing, sum is taking sum is taking the object of this height class. Okay, so this height class is having two objects. I have created two objects called A and B, both of this type height. So for passing any argument, we know that this, if this is a normal built-in argument, see this get ht, here I am passing int f and int I. Okay, so what I am doing, the data type of this variable f is passed here, and also I have written the data type of this integer I. Okay, so similarly, if we want to pass the object, we have to show its data type, we have to pass the data type like this in the same manner. So here the data type is height A and height B. Okay, so two objects we are sending, and one temporary object is created called n. So what we are doing, just we are adding a dot feet plus b dot feet and saving it in a dot n dot feet. Similarly for the inches, and there is a small checking that if the inches, after adding these inches, if it is equals to 12, then the feet will be incremented by 1 and the inches will be decreased by 12. Okay, and I am printing here the height and feet also inside this sum function. So what I am doing here, I have taken three variables, three objects, h, d and a. Okay, so I have called h with 6 and 5 and a with 2 and 7. So I for checking that whether that particular this condition checking works or not, I have put this as 5 and 7 to make it 12. Okay, so now for put height, h dot put height, a dot put height, and d dot sum all will be printing the value. So if I run it, see what happens. So it is printing the first height for h dot put height, it is printing 6 feet 5 inches, and for this a dot put height it is printing 2 feet 7 inches, and the total height is 9 feet 0 inches. So this one is printed from within the sum function. Okay, so my objective is to make you understand this function, how this function works. Okay, so how this works, actually what we are doing, we are passing objects as arguments. So how we are passing? For passing objects as arguments, we will follow the same process that will follow for the user defined data types. Okay, for the built-in data types. So like int, we are writing this height a and height b, and then they are just simply adding and this thing. Okay, so why I am telling this thing, I'll be telling means why this is necessary to pass object. Sometimes it is necessary to pass object in some situation where it is means it is mandatory in some situations. So we will see those situations. Okay, later we will see those situations. But for that we need to understand that when we were sending some object, how we will do this. Okay, so this is the way that we can do this. This one is you understand this thing. So this is the output. Next is a very special function. We are discussing about different functions that are used in C++. One is main function, then inline function we have used, then member functions we have discussed. Now comes the friend function, and the last one left is the virtual function. So virtual functions we'll be discussing during discussion of the polymorphism. Okay. So the friend function, it is having several use. Okay. In different scenarios, in different contexts, they are having use, but the basic idea, basic things are same, basic features are same for everywhere. Okay, so what is its primary use? That if we know that private members, we cannot be accessed from outside the class. Okay, whenever we write down the private members within the class, some private members are written. So that time, this private member, you cannot, whenever you say class XYZ and you in main, if you create XYZ X1, okay, you cannot call this one. You cannot do this. This is not permissible. You cannot directly call this one. Okay. So sometimes it is required that if, say, for example, if there is a class called X and there is a class called Y. Okay, X is having a variable small x and Y is having a variable small y. Now, what we want to do, we want to check these two objects. We want to check not objects. We want to check this data member. We want to compare them. We want to find the comparison. Okay. So some situation occurs that two classes require to share a particular function. In those situations, it is not possible that you will be writing down only one function, only one member function that can access the private data members for both the classes. It is not possible. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Say, for example, if we have one class X and it is having one variable X, private variable, which can be accessed by some function that is written within X. That is written within X. Okay. Similarly, if a class called Y, it is having a data member called Y, it can be accessed by some function that is written in Y. But is it possible that this function 1 can directly access this Y? This is not possible. This function can call this function and can indirectly access this. But this one directly access is not possible. But there may be some situation where we need to compare the value between x and y, or maybe doing some other computation. Not only comparison but other computation. So that time, for this situation, when two classes require to share something, we will be having some idea that if we have for both the classes, if we have a common function for both the classes which can access both x and y for these two classes, can we have this? So friend function is known as a common function to do this kind of thing. That means it can access private data of both the classes. Okay. So the idea of friend function, there are some of the characteristics that we need to remember. First thing is that it is not the member of the class. So you understand from this why it cannot be a member of the class, because if it is a member of the class, it cannot directly access private member of some other class. So friend function is friend to more than one classes, but they are not the member of the class. They can be defined anywhere in the C++ program, okay, but they are not in the scope of the class. So this thing is important. Friend function is not a member and it is not in the scope of the class. So whenever we call friend function, we call it as a normal function. Only the member function can be called using objects, but if it is not a member function, so we cannot call it using objects. Okay, and it is called like normal member functions, like normal functions, not member functions, normal functions. So it passes the objects actually. Okay, as an argument of the friend function, they takes the object, and that is how they can access the members. That means if I write down a function, a friend function, so this is a friend function. Okay, so this is a friend function. It's not, name is not friend function. I'm just making you understand this thing. Any name you can take preceded by the keyword friend. Okay, so if it is a friend function, it normally what it does, it takes objects as arguments. Okay, it takes object as arguments. An object can access the data members using dot operators. So this is how it access. So if you pass object of A and object of V, say this is two class, one is A class and one is B class. Its objects is A and its object is B. Okay, and if you pass them, so they can directly call their private data members. Okay, so within this function, you can directly access them using dot operator. So this is the idea of where the passing of object is required, that whether we can pass objects in some function. Okay, so this friend function, they cannot access the members directly. Rather, it need to use the object name with dot operator with each member name. So they will be passing the object, and with those object names and dot operator, they can means use the objects. Okay, so friend function do not use the scope resolution operator, because we no need to define in the scope of any class. We can define them, we will be defining them inside the class. Okay, but not with a scope. They are not within the scope of the class. So how this friend function is used, it's little bit different than the member function. How it is used, that we will see in some examples. Okay, so this is a very small example of friend function where it is where we are considering one class only. Okay, so let us see how they first that how they access the private data members even if they are not the member function. Okay, so if anybody of you is having any confusion, please ask me. Okay, so what I have done here, I have created these are the private data members. Okay, and I have taken, for simplicity, I have taken one member function that initialize A and B with 10 and 20. Okay, you can you can create this set data function and you can ask the data from keyboard also. Okay, and you can call the set data and then can take data from keyboard also with cout and cin and cout. Okay, and next is a friend function. Next is a friend function. This is the declaration of the friend function. So within class, either in public or private, anywhere you can define them. It will not matter. Okay. So the declaration is it must be preceded by this keyword friend, then the return type, function name, and see here it is passing the object of this class. This class name is sample. It is passing one object. Okay. So how to pass the object that we already know. So it is passing one object, and this is the definition of this function. So you can see here there is no scope resolution, no class name. Normal member function, we write down the data type, then the class name, then scope resolution, then the function name and the argument list. But here it is called like a normal. It is defined like a normal function. Okay. So we write down this one and it is returning this. It is doing s dot a plus s dot b divided by 2.0 and it is returning this float value. Okay, so and here in main you see I have created one variable, one object x, and with it x dot set data we have set x dot a as 10, we have set x dot b as 20, and we are passing x in the mean. Okay, so this is how we are calling. See, there is no object is there, no object and dot operator is there. Rather we are passing this object x. So whenever we pass this object, the control goes there, and that means the control goes here. So x is mapped into s, and now this s dot a means x dot a and s dot b means x dot b, and we are doing this, we are returning this. So here it will return back this value, that is 10 plus 20 divided by 2.0 is 15. So it will be showing 15. So you understand this thing, how it works? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So,
Ma'am, one question. In this code, in the float mean, we don't have to use std. I mean that the class name and the colon operator, and after that.
Where this here?
Yes, ma'am. In the float mean.
No, because that's why I'm telling, because the friend function is not a member function. So for whom we use? For the member function, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Friend function can be defined inside the class, but it is not a member function. Whenever you write down this friend keyword, the compiler understands this is a friend function, not a member function. See, for the set data, if we want to define the set data outside of this class, this set data. Say for example, let me show you this thing in execution. Say this one is the execution. So say I have defined the set data here. Let me remove this one. Okay, so I am writing down the set data function here. So I have defined it, declared it. Okay, not defined it. Now if I write down this one, this void set data, and this is the definition of set data function. Okay, so let us run it and see whether it will work or not. So it is giving some error. What error? Because this set data function is a member function. It is defined as a member function. So, but we don't know how to this A and B. See that error. A is not declared in this scope. B is not declared in this scope. That means we have not this, whenever we pass this 10 and 20, the compiler will not understand this A and B belongs to where, because the A and B is defined here. They are declared here and we are defining that A and B. These are the data members. So, and this is a member function. So member functions need to be defined by the normal process like void. Then the class name is here, sample, then scope resolution. Now, if I do this, so this will run. So this is not giving any error. So what we are doing actually, we are giving this class scope to make the compiler understand that you consider the A and B that are within this class. We assign 10 and 22 to this A and B that are assigned, that are declared within this class. This function belongs to this class scope. But here for float, sorry, for mean, this is a friend function. We are preceded with this keyword. So it is not in the scope of the class. It is not a member function. So as it is not a member function, we don't need this one. If you write down this one, it will give some error. So you understand the logic why we are not giving. Now
Yes.
you understand this. For member function, it is mandatory to define the scope, but for other function, it is not mandatory.
Okay.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, so next, let me show you now that this is only one function, means only one class is used here. But I told that whether we need to have means some kind of comparison between two classes, okay, or maybe some data members need to be compared. That time also we can use float. Okay, sorry, we can use friend. Okay, so that example next I'll be discussing. Okay, before that I just discuss two little points. That is, member function of one class can be friend function of another class. This is another property. Okay, in that case we just need this declaration, this type of declaration, that this member function, this function one, is a friend of another class, so that here we are defining the scope. Okay, so if this is it is coming from this class, we are defining the scope, and if all the member function of one class become the friend function of another class, we just declare that class as the friend class. Okay, so I have not included any example right now for this. Let me first show you the next example where we can see that how friend function work as a bridge between two classes. Okay, so here to one new term you can see here, that is forward declaration, this one, and a little bit difference how we are declaring the class. Okay, so here my idea is that I'll be having two classes, ABC and XYZ. Okay, and my idea is that ABC will be having one variable int A, private variable, and XYZ is having one private variable called X. Okay, int X. And what I'll do, I'll try to assign some values to A and X, and then I'll compare their values. Okay, so for that we need to write down the first the class declarations. So you right now you don't consider this one. You first understand the class declarations that we know. Okay, so this is the class declaration for XYZ, and this is the class declaration for ABC. Okay, now see the class declaration of XYZ. Here I have declared one private variable X and two functions. One is the member function set value, which is passed to I, and I is initialized to X. Okay, and another function that is a friend function. What it is doing? The friend function started with the keyword friend, then this is the return type void, then name is max, and what it is doing? What it is doing? Tell me. Yes?
Taking
Only
two
the
classes.
maximum value.
Who?
It's
This is
comparing
passing.
X and
What are the arguments? What they are passing actually?
Class objects.
Yeah, actually they will be passing the object of XYZ and ABC. So they have this in declaration. We know that we declare the data type that we are going to pass. Okay, so data type is XYZ and ABC. Now consider this function. If the compiler start compilation from here, it start compiling all these lines, and when it encounters this ABC, if this line is, if ABC is not declared before XYZ. If it checks this ABC, will it recognize?
No, ma'am, it will give error.
No, it will give error. So for that, to make it recognize ABC, we need to write it down before the declaration. The ABC class need to be declared here before XYZ. So compiler will understand ABC. But the problem is if you declare this class here, okay, that time XYZ it will not understand. Compiler not recognize XYZ because XYZ is later it is declared. So you understand the problem? Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Compiler will not recognize the presence of ABC. If you want to make it recognize, you can write it down here, the ABC. Fine. But in that case, ABC is also having the same friend function. That time, then XYZ will not be recognized. And for a programmer, it is not possible that you can write them side by side. It is not possible. Either you want to have to write XYZ before ABC or ABC before XYZ. So to make the compiler understand the presence of ABC without the whole declaration, we just write down this thing. This is known as forward declaration. That means we are telling the compiler that I am going to use this term ABC, this class ABC or object ABC, the declaration later somewhere, but I am going to use it. You please recognize its presence. Okay, that's why if there is some kind of situation like this where compiler is giving this kind of error or need to be recognized both the classes, more than two classes, we need to include this forward declaration. So you understand what is forward declaration?
Yes.
Have you understand the set value functions for both the classes?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we are only left with the only with the friend function. So this is the definition of friend function.
Hello, ma'am.
Huh?
Ma'am, can you explain the once again? Set value function.
Set value function. This one.
Hello? Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Set value function. So, acha, okay. So this set value function. What is this member function or friend function? You tell me.
Friend function.
Set value.
Set value is a member function.
Set value is a member function. Okay. So set value is a member function. What it is taking?
Int I.
And
Integer data I.
x equals to I. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If I call this set value function from main, so this one. If I call this one, say any object of ABC dot set value, I am passing 10. So which one will be called for ABC? This one? This set value will be called?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we are passing? 10. So where the 10 will be mapped? Okay. Let me first tell you for ABC, this is an object, na? So for ABC, there is a variable called, tell me, what is a variable when we create the object ABC? Data member. What are the member of ABC?
A.
Yeah.
A. So there is one data member called A. So whenever we pass this one, this set value, you consider this particular.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the definition of set value. So whenever we pass this one, this 10, where this 10 gets mapped into the I. Are you getting my point? I. So
yes,
A equals to 10 now.
10.
So this set value, this means this A means ABC. This A means ABC dot A. that is equals to 10, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
ABC dot A, that is equals to 10. So you understand what is set value?
Yes, ma'am.
It is normal member function. Okay. Don't forget the previous thing that we have already discussed, but it is okay. You can ask me again and again. I'll be defining it. I'll be telling it. No problem. So now you understand this thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us see now that how this max function, this one works. Okay. So declaration is there. And what we are doing? We are passing two objects. So let us first see the main. Okay, so here I have created small abc and small xyz, two objects. Small abc is the object of capital ABC, which is having set A as 10 and this xyz, small xyz, it is having x that is equal to 20. So now my idea is I will be checking down whether this 10 is greater than 20 or not. Okay. So what we are doing? We are passing xyz and abc. We are passing this object xyz and abc here in the max.
Ma'am, here. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, here void maximum xyz. M means here ABC and N means.
I'm telling. I've not gone there till now. You understand this thing now? How we are passing objects in the friend function here? You understand now? How we are passing object? The same thing we are doing. We are passing these two objects xyz and abc. So when we pass something, we need to map it somewhere with the same data type. When we pass integer, this is an integer. When we pass integer, we need to map it somewhere, integer I. Similar way, when we pass object, we have to map it in some object. Are you getting my point? When we pass object, normal function call in C, what we do? When we do this kind of thing, say add int A, int B. So when we call, this is the definition, some definition is there. When we call this function, what we do normally, add 10 and 20 we are passing. So where it gets mapped, this 10 get mapped here, 10 gets stored in A and this is gets stored in B. Consider the actual argument and formal argument thing. Recall that one. We will be matching the same thing with the objects. So object, type of object is its class type, isn't it? We have already discussed that objects are the variables of type class. We create int abc. These are integer type of variable. Similarly, we create this abc. If I create a1, a2, a3, or say student class, for student we are creating student s1, s2, s3, or in fruit class if we create apple, banana, orange, etc. all of them are the variable of type class. What are their data type? If we create some object from class, what will be their data type? The class type. Okay. So what is the data type of this xyz? What is the data type? Here its data type is defined, that is capital XYZ. What is the data type of ABC? That is capital ABC. So now we had declared that XYZ and ABC for this reason, and now M and N, these are also objects. Object of this data type, XYZ data type and ABC data type. So we are sending this XYZ and this XYZ is mapped in M. And similarly, this ABC is mapped in N. Simple thing. Okay, right? You understand this thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when we map them in this object, now this m dot x means M dot x means xyz dot x.
Yes, ma'am.
This M dot x means xyz dot x, and N dot a means abc dot a. So what is our value? Abc dot a is 10 and xyz dot x is 20. That I have already stored. So they will be checking and they will be just see out the maximum value. So the friend function uses the idea of using arguments or passing objects as arguments. Are you getting my point? Why I have discussed how to pass objects as arguments?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Do you have class after this?
Yes, ma'am.
From when? When?
Ma'am, 11.
From 11.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me stop here today. I'll be discussing something else. That means with this note, that means how to pass the objects. You need to remember this thing, okay? When we discuss, after this, we'll be discussing constructors. So that thing, we again require this passing of objects there also, okay? But gradually. No need to think about that. If you don't know all these things, no need to think that I don't know what can be done. Okay, it's not like that. You just understand what we are discussing in the class and try to relate the logics. Okay, and if you're not understanding, tell me. Till now, is this clear or should I explain once again?
Clear, ma'am.
All in others in the class, all of you? Is it
Clear,
okay?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so you remember this thing, okay, that we can, whenever we do the thing like this type of this addition, we are passing some arguments and values are mapped. The values are mapped. In the same way, can we pass objects? You try to match the concepts with these two, user-defined variable and built-in variables, built-in data types. Okay. So our aim is to do everything that we can do with the user-defined variable or the built-in variables. That we'll be doing everything with built-in variables. Same thing we'll be doing with the user-defined one. Like if we can add two integers a plus b and then stored in C, can we add two stacks or can we add two complex numbers? Or can we add our this one xyz plus abc? Can we do that? Okay, so this type of thing you always challenge the real situation with the already whatever you know in C, whatever you have done. So you know that with the integer floors and all these variables, what you have done in C, you know this one, na? And the same concept will be mapping with C++. That is with the object-oriented technology. That is our idea. Okay, we'll be creating the real world environment with our own objects, with our own functions. Okay. So this thing you understand. So let me stop here today and we'll consider the constructor and destructor. So I have already uploaded this thing. I have already uploaded the slide in the Microsoft Teams. Have you seen it? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.